Hey crafters, welcome back to Crafty Creations by KcLisha. Today I'm making a gorgeous set of green, brown, and gold Christmas tree bows and a matching bow topper for my cousin's Christmas tree. These colors are stunning together, so let's get into this holiday magic. The ribbon my cousin brought was a deep green sheer with satin trim 1.5 inch ribbon, a 2.5 inch wired velvet green with gold trim, a 2.5 inch wired satin green with gold snowflakes and gold trim, a 1.5 inch wired velvet brown, and a 1.5 inch wired velvet green. She also brought a 1.5 inch sheer brown with satin trim. You will also need floral wire and gold vase filler balls to complete your bows. Now, a description of everything I use will be down below in the description box. Now let's get started on making bows. First, we're going to start with our 1.5 inch velvet brown. I did a variation between 14, 16, and 18-inch tails, and I varied between doing 4-inch loops with one on each side, and then I did some with 2 loops on each side. All loops were 4 inches. I also dovetailed all ends on each of my bows. To dovetail, all you have to do is take your ribbon and fold it in half at the end of your bow and then cut it at an angle. For the gold vase fillers, I cut them in half and I added them to some of the bows, not all. So some had vase filler gold balls in the middle and some didn't. That is totally up to you if you want to use them. Once you are done with your bow, you just take your floral wire and you wrap it around it to secure your bow in place and make sure it doesn't come apart. I cut my floral wire in 12-inch pieces, which means when I fold it in half, it would be 6 inches. This is what your bow looks like when you don't add the gold ball in the middle. But like I said, I added the gold vase filler ball to every other bow. And like I said, I cut it in half because I only wanted half of it. And then I just used hot glue to attach it to the center of the bow. And this is what it will look like when you have your gold ball in the center of it. The next bows that we will be making will be our 1.5 inch sheer brown with satin trim. My cousin loves this ribbon because she loves the way that the tails curl. So for that, I decided to make those tails a little longer, starting at 16 inches, 18 inches, and 20-inch tails. I did 4.5-inch loops for this ribbon. Um, and also for the 1.5-inch green sheer with satin trim, I did the same thing. I did 16-inch, 18-inch, and 20-inch tails, and then I did 4.5-inch loops. To close off the ribbon, once again, all I did was take some floral wire and wrap it around to secure the bow in place to make sure that it didn't come apart. For the next set of bows, we used the 1.5-inch velvet green ribbon. And for that ribbon, I did 14, 16, and 18-inch tails, and I did 4-inch loops, alternating between doing 1 loop on each side and 2 loops on each side. And with this ribbon, I also added a gold ball in the center of every other bow. Our next ribbon is this 2.5-inch wired satin green with gold snowflakes and gold trim bow ribbon. Sorry. For this, we're going to do something a little different. You're going to take your ribbon and you're going to cut it into 10-inch strips. You then are going to take those strips and you're going to put glue at one end of the strip and you're going to fold it over to make a loop. And then we're just going to take all that ribbon. We're going to make loops out of all of them. I decided to do them all at one time. Um, but you're going to make loops. And then once you have your loops, you're going to take the end and put glue on that end and attach a loop to it. I did this in sets of 3s and 4s. We did it this way because my cousin wanted them to just sit in the tree so that it took up a little more room. So once again, you're going to cut 10-inch strips and you're going to fold them to make a loop. And then you're going to glue each end to each other. And then you're going to take those loops and glue them together. And this is what it will look like with your finished product. And like I said, I did 4 loops and 3 loops. For our last set of bows, we're going to use our velvet 2.5-inch green with gold trim ribbon. These were my favorite bows of all of them. We are going to do 9-inch tails with 4.5-inch loops on each side, and I did 2 loops on each side. So once again, that's 8.5-inch tails with 4.5-inch loops, 2 loops on each side. And I did all the bows with 2 loops, and I put a gold vase filler ball in the middle of each of these ribbons, bows. I also dovetailed the ends of this ribbon as well. And this is what your bows will look like once they're complete. Now, just when you thought we were done, my cousin showed up at my door and she's like, I need a tree topper. She came with this 4-inch wired ribbon that was 2 yards long. And she wanted 3.5 to 4-inch tails for her Christmas tree. So I cut her 4 tails and I did not measure. I just used however long my crafting table was the length of the tails. I made 4 of them, but then you'll end up seeing that she only used 2. Um, at the end, I dovetailed the ends of each of the 4 tails. So now let's get started on making the bow part of the tree topper. I started off making 9-inch loops and I did a total of 8 loops, 4 on each side. And then once I was complete in making those 8 loops, I spread them out so I can see where they are on my bow maker. And then I went from doing 9-inch loops to doing 8.5-inch loops. I also did 4 of those on each side. And then I spread those out to see what those look like. And then after the 8.5, I went to 8-inch loops and I did 4 of those as well. And then after that, everything from 7.5 down was 3-inch. Everything down from the 7.5-inch loops, I did 3 loops on each side until I got to the smallest section, and then there was 2 loops on each side with a center one in the middle. And as I made my loops, I just spread them out so that I can see where they were to make sure that the bow would look full. And this is what it looked like once I fluffed it out. And here is a complete product of how her Christmas tree turned out. I personally feel that she didn't need the tails coming from the topper, but once again, this is her look and her idea, so I'm just happy that she enjoyed it. And it came out looking like exactly what she wanted. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you love these green, brown, and gold accented bows and the matching tree topper. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more wreaths, bows, and holiday decor ideas. If you want your own custom set, message me anytime. Crafty Kreations by KcLisha has you covered. Until next time, crafters, can't wait to craft with you again. Bye.